Welcome back to Galaxy Gremlin. Tonight we're chasing Pleiades, but this isn't going to be a normal night. Pleiades is a star cluster that sits 444 light years away, wrapped in a soft blue haze. That's interstellar dust, which gives us this beautiful blue reflective nebula. I've been waiting weeks for a clear sky. Batteries charged, scope balanced, laptop ready. The forecast said clear skies, and for once it looked like the stars were finally on my side. But as every astrophotographer knows, the astrogods love to laugh when you start making plans. The night started with frustration. The computer has frozen. And disasters.
Has stopped working. Welcome back to GalaxyGremlin. Tonight we are going to try and capture Pleiades, also known as the Seven Sisters. Tonight we've got some fantastic weather. Hopefully this is going to continue throughout the week, so we might have multiple sessions trying to get this particular target. As you can see, the weather is beautiful, nice and blue. Hopefully we're going to start getting some stars out soon. The only difference this time is we're going to be trying to contending with some man-made objects. So unfortunately we're now dealing with this. This is to put up our new care home around the corner, but unfortunately it might impede the view. I'm hoping that Pleiades should come up around about here. Look up in the sky there. So let's hope we can miss that completely, and hopefully we'll get some good viewing tonight.
Oh dear. Looking back, it seemed so hopeful, and so it was. The night started relatively well. The sky was clear, the gear was set up, and for once, everything seemed to be working just as it should. You know, that rare moment where you think, this actually might go smoothly. But of course, it didn't.
It's starting to get a little bit darker now, so let's set up the scope.
Incoming first disaster of the night.
Okay, just had encountered a bit of a problem, but I think we've sorted it. So, on my mount, we do something called polar alignment, which we've mentioned previously. But we do it using the SynScan, which is the computer that's on board with the telescope. On my telescope, right down the middle here, we've got something called a polar scope. And the polar scope, you look through it, you get the North Star, and you make sure it's in a certain position on that star, which we did. Unfortunately, my polar scope is not aligned properly, which means that it was actually off kilter, so that when I tried to do a polar alignment with the computer, it put me something like 6 degrees off kilter. The problem is, at the front we've got these called azimuth mounts, see them there, on either side, and we can use this to move the scope either side, like this. And the problem is it only does it by 5 degrees. So I've had to do a little bit of a cheat, and I've had to drag the scope, the mount, a little bit further to one side.
And so we carried on.
Okay, so we're starting up the program now. It's called Stellarium. And I'm hoping up in this corner, once this is up, wonderful. I don't know if you saw that flash, but it came up with some numbers. It wasn't doing that before. So click on this, and it's got me connected. Now I'm going to look, hopefully, to the west, because the scope is currently on Arcturus. Bugger. And as you can see here, it's out of sync. Right. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to try and resync this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to here, and we're going to press sync. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. And this time it isn't. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on there, the current object, and we're going to slew to that object. And then we're going to try and find it good and proper. Hopefully this will work. And the good news is that it's worked. Now hopefully we're looking at the top right hand side of the Great Plough, and hopefully in here, the camera should be star. I'm not seeing it though, but that's okay. There's no issue with that. What we're going to do is have a look through here, and hopefully see how far we're off. we have some bad news. So, the original plan was to try and track Pleiades, or the Seven Sisters, using my computer as a scope, using my program Stellarium. Unfortunately, the program which allows me to connect up to the computer to the mount has stopped working. Well guys, it appears that this is not my night tonight. For whatever reason, the computer has frozen. I'm going to give it some time to try and catch up with itself, but at the moment I can't do anything until it has sorted itself out. Damn. Working. Now this has happened to me previously and it took me nearly 3 months to sort out. But it's not all lost for tonight. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the onboard system from the mount, hopefully to track it. Unfortunately, I don't know how long it's going to track for, because usually it's not particularly accurate. So we'll wait for it to come up and then we'll give it a go. But in the interim, I don't think I'll be able to do much until I get this fixed. Darren.
In the light of day, we finally found what the issue was, and it turned out actually it was one of the cables that attached from the scope to my laptop, and unfortunately it wasn't the correct one. So we went onto one of these lovely shops, First Light Optics, and I actually bought a new wire, and that seemed to have done the trick. However, the evening itself went quite poorly. The subs that I did get weren't particularly good. I will show you a brief shot of what we got. That being said, a little bit surprised with some of them, but here we are. This is what we got. Okay, it's the morning after the disaster night and we are trying to process some of the data. We didn't get many shots, unfortunately. We only got 80 shots, and quite frankly I don't think this is going to turn out well, because I didn't shoot any dark frames, flat frames or offset bias frames. So purely and simply, this is just going to be a check of what we've got and how it's worked out. Right, I've done a little bit of a quick play around, and actually from those 30-second shoots there is a little bit of nebulosity in there. I'm actually a little bit impressed, considering we had less than an hour's worth of shots and I did a little bit of a clear up with the background noise. We have got a little bit of nebulosity, which really has impressed me. So I'll just quickly show you this. There we go. So again, not fantastic. We have got this weird and wonderful line around here, which I'm going to have an investigation of. But look, this is nebulosity around the area and through this star as well, and on this one. So we do have a little bit of nebulosity, but I think if we go through the method that we've already previously said we were going to go through, i.e. smaller resolution on the stars, smaller exposure levels on the stars, and larger ones to try and bring out that nebulosity, I think we really will come up with something very special. So here's hoping that this isn't 100% an entire waste of a night. That being said, a few weeks later I got my new cable. The weather up to that point had been horrific. I think it was at least 3 weeks before I was able to go back out again. So we got the new cable, we got it plugged into the mount, then into the computer, and it works! Bloody awesome.